Welcome back, everyone. This is Russell Yar with Speedsource FPV here to tell you about this Super 70 Stainless Edition, kind of like our V2 edition, but check this out. It's better in pretty much every way, but the best part about it, you can use all the old arms. You can use them on this new one. It has the same holes. You can see these same 6 holes on each side for the arms, but we did add a middle hole. This is the new one on the left here. We did add a middle hole, so add a little bit more strength. We took out the arm right here. You can see the arm only goes to right here, so that way it takes out a lot of excess meat, puts a lot of build room in the middle here for weights, VTX, RX, where you want to put it in there, and it's really just as strong, if not maybe a little stronger, because these arms are thicker, so they're going to be stronger overall. But so we're going to put this away. We're going to work with these ones today because it's the brand new one. On top of that, we have the stainless steel edition mid plate here. Check this thing out. So it's countersunk, or not countersunk, it is tapped on all the holes except for the end holes. This side, remember, this side's got to go forward because this is the M4 holes. These are going to be going up into the canopy. The back is still M3. Just a lot of people have more M3 screws laying around, so it's easy to have M3. You can put whatever you want back here, antenna mounts, RX mounts, build your own, whatever. Nice to have the M3, so it's nice and standard. More screws laying around for whatever you're going to put back here. But we do have all these holes tapped, so the arms are going to come right in here. No more press nuts, but check this out. The M3 holes are tapped as well. So if you want to put a stack on this side, run your M3 screw up, whichever way you're going to do it, and then you can just leave the M3 screw in there, nice and easy, and you can put your component, whatever PCB you're going to put on there. So first thing before we get started here, just want to give you a quick overview on some of the TPU parts that are coming with it, some of the hardware. Then we'll get into the build. Alright, so we have a couple new options here. We have the GoPro chop top mount. Thank you, Skyfall, for letting me use your printed parts. I don't know if he knows yet, but he's got a couple Super 70s coming his way, so this is going to be one of his prints right here for the GoPro. And chose a nice yellow color. Might be coming out with this, don't have it standard yet, but this nice color pops on the camera, pops against the carbon, so it's a really cool color he's got going on here. But anyways, this is the chop top with the GoPro mount on it. We have the standard chop top. This is what I run. Very aerodynamic, very fast. Takes a lot of the cross-sectional area over here off, so a lot of airflow going through here. It's nice and streamlined. So it's actually a little bit stronger too. But those are the canopies we got going on. I'll show you how to put the nut inside as well after we do the main build on here. But essentially, I'm going to start doing that on the order. So when you get one of these canopies, the nut's already going to be inside here. Don't have to worry about putting it in. If you print your own, I'll show you how to do that. We got 2 arm guards. This is a new standard. Arm guards are really great for arm protection, especially in the front, and allows you to get a little bit preload on there if you want to do that when you're racing. Got the front aero blocker exact same, have not changed this. It does have the LED spot if you want to put an LED in here. Got a little antenna mount, good for an SMA antenna to screw that right on there, easy to change antennas. And my favorite part, here we go, the brand new bottom cover here, calling it like an aero bottom blocker. I don't know what the exact term is, kind of some aero bottom piece. So it goes on the bottom. It's got about 10 millimeters of build room, really good for a VTX, got a lot of airflow. But you can also put an ESC, and you can put your FC in there, whatever you want, and then it pops right down there, locks in, and it's got a lot of protection around it as well. Plus room for your XC60 to come out the back. Alright, so that's an overview on all the parts that come with it. It also have our hardware, so let me go through that real quick before I forget. Have our M4 by 25 millimeter countersunk screws. These are going to go up through the battery plate into the arms. We have our M4 by 16 button heads. So change out the bottom plate here just a little bit different. It doesn't have countersunk anymore. That way you can use it either way. It's nice and uniform, and you can just pop these in there, and they're nice and strong. Don't worry about if something strips out, it's a lot easier to get this out than a countersunk, which it's very rare these are going to strip out with M4, but you just put that in there. It's a lot easier now. So we have those. We have our M3 by 20 millimeter screws. You get 16 of these actually, because these are going to be your motor screws. These go up through the arm here. Perfect size for your motors. Oh, this is a little tight, so it's gonna have to drive it in there. I like that though. I like that. Keep it nice and tight. Don't want it getting loose in there. So drive that through there, and you can put it right up in your motor, and you are good to go. If you do get the Manny motors, though, remember you get more M3 by 20 millimeter screws because those come standard with the Manny motor. So put that right in there, put your Manny motor on there, and you're gonna go fast. I tell you what. M4 steel nut. Put these on the bottom. I'll show you that in a minute. Get I think 12 of these. You get 10 for the bottom, and you get 2 for the canopy, which again will already be in the canopy. You do not have to worry about putting those in the canopy anymore. M4 by 30 millimeter screws. Those go all the way up through the front of it into the canopy, hold it down nice and tight, and we put got some M3 nuts, M3 screws right here, so those can go and hold your antenna on. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get excited. Let's start the build right here. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to take some of our battery plate, our mid plate, take an arm, line it up on there just like that. Nice and easy. Take your M4 by 20mm screw, put that on there, get it started. And nice and easy, should slide right in there. And then you don't want to drive it through on your desk like this because it's going to go past the mid plate right here. I'll show you in a second. Yep, so that goes all the way through just like that, because after you get that on there, I'm going to put all the screws in there because there's 3 per arm. You don't have to, or actually, well, 2.5 per arm. You don't have to put the middle screw in there. That's optional, but what it does is locks the arms together, so it helps transfer that force across the arms if you take a hit, and keeps it nice and strong in there. So what we would do next is we go, first thing, tighten that screw once you get all the arms on first, get them in there nice and snug, tighten that screw all the way down, go ahead, put your nut on there, and then take a socket and put some good torque on it. Keep that nice and tight. If you want, you can put some Loctite on there. This should not come loose. It's double nutted, you can be Loctited. You don't have to worry about these screws loosening up like we see a lot on 5-inch drones. Put it on there, keep it nice and tight. I'm just going to take it off for now so I can show you some more things, but go ahead and put the rest of the arms on. So just put some ram screws in there, got them in there, it's tight enough, they're not going to be, this isn't going to be racing yet, so put those in there. I know, nice and snug in there, and I can show you the rest here. Before we go too far though, it's worth noting, I'll show you in a little bit, but before you put the arms on, you generally want to build your stack first. Put your stack in here. I like to put the ESC and the FC in the center. I actually build it upside down, so it's facing this way, going to the frame, and the motors will sit on top, so this is essentially the top, but you can put it on the bottom too. There's a little room right here you can run your XC60 through. The problem if you put it on the bottom, if you have a big ESC, it might cover up this hole, but I'm actually probably going to move that back a little in the future, but right now at least a nice mounting room on the inside if you want to put anything in there, RX, VTX, capacitors, weight, whatever you want to do. So you run that XC60 out. So right now it's probably best to put it on the top. I'll show you how you do that in a little bit, but just know that before you put all your arms on and everything on, put the mid plate on there, you want to put your stack in the middle, and then you kind of put everything on there loose and go back and weigh it. And again, I'll show you that in a second, but right now let's keep going. I'll show you how to build the base part of the frame. Next we have our bottom plate here. You're going to take your bottom arrow cover, make sure the little part, this is facing forward. Also always make sure this is facing forward, because your M4 holes right here, they line up with the M4 screws on there. And then just take this. Now this is nice and easy. No more worrying about standoffs. Don't have to put any standoffs on there, keeping those tight. All you do is you take this, you take one of your screws, just slot it right in there just like that, and then snug it down. Do not tighten it yet. You just want it nice and snug. Make sure it's started. Maybe and back it off a little bit, and then put them in. I'm not going to put them all in there, but go ahead and put the rest of them in there. And then you see how this got a little warped right there. So what we're going to do is going to loosen that back up. See, it popped back, so now it's square. It looks nice and clean in there. So just hold your thumb on this and then tighten it down just a little bit at a time. And it will hold it. It looks much better in there. And do that with all 4 of them. So kind of hold the TPU in place, tighten it down. You can do it pretty tight. Wouldn't be too loose, and I keep it nice and tight. And snug it right in there. It's going to create some force on it. It's going to hold it in there, and it's going to protect your components really well in there. And the next thing you do, put on your, well, probably before you put this on, if you're running a camera wire, if you're running an HD0 VTX like I do, you probably want to put the top area on first, and I'll show you why in a second. So take your M4x30, run that through there, and that, it's a little tight. Oh, there we go, we got it. If you need a little assistance from the drill motor, just run it right in there just like that. And then we do the canopy. So right now I'm going to show you how to do this canopy. It's a little difficult at first, but once you get it, it goes pretty smooth. So we're jumping forward to the future here real quick. I wanted to go back, and I wanted to get you guys a little bit better video on how to put the nut into the canopy, as well as show you how to put a battery strap in the canopy. This is probably the best battery strap you can get for Streak League. This is Gemfan, obviously make the best props, but it looks like they make the best battery straps as well here. So this is a 25 by 330 millimeter battery strap. So I had to give a huge shout out to Free. He introduced me to these battery straps, and they are perfect for Streak League. Probably most any Streak League cloud, but especially the Super Savvy. This is working perfect for it. So show you how to put that in a minute. But first, I'm going to show you how we put the nut into the canopy. So I want to talk about a few print options or way to print it first. Obviously, if you order this through SpeedSource, it's going to put the nuts in. They're going to come in there for you. And if not, you can put the nuts in yourself. So what we do here is, just for print options or print settings, do about a maximum 0.16 millimeter layer height. I actually do 0.12 millimeter layers. You can see this one's very smooth. This one's I think this is probably 0.16, so it's pretty smooth, just not as smooth as this one. But at the same time, also do a minimum of 3 walls. So 3 to 4 walls. I do alternate extra wall in Cura, so that makes each layer go alternating. So one layer is 3, the next layer is 4, and 3, 4, back and forth. So kind of squishes all that infill in there. And the last thing is kind of increase your flow rate on your infill, and that will help. Probably I do about 115%. Obviously, that is relative to what your calculated flow rate is. So probably add about 10 to 15% to your flow rate. I think I picked that up from the Milkman Tony Brecco, but. Add that in there, and then it's going to make this print a lot stronger, and obviously be harder to pull nuts through here. Obviously, you see this one, I pulled this nut a little too far. You do not want to do this. Just be careful with it. It is pretty difficult. I was wrenching on it, so that's why it came through. I'll show you how to do it the right way, and we'll get it set in there for you. So first thing you're going to do is take your M4 steel nut, put this in here, and once you get it flat, that's probably the hardest part, getting it flat. So if you have some sutures, I recommend. If you don't have sutures in FPV, I recommend getting, because they're very good for a lot of things, especially a little curve. You can fit it in here, you can hold things, hold wires, and it makes it a lot easier. If you don't, just get it flat with your finger. I'll show you. I'm going to do it quicker because I'm going to do the sutures just to show you guys how we do it. Make sure you get that in there nice and flat. There's a little cavity in there. Push this nut in the cavity flat, and it should sit in there nice and easy. This one does not want to do it. So we're going to push it back out, and then we're going to start over again. So if that happens, you have to start over, pull it out of there, and start over, because you want to get it right. It might take a little bit the first time. It gets easier as you go. Allegedly, it's giving me a little bit of a struggle here, but we're going to get it in there, and we're going to get going. So got it in there nice and flat, just like that. You can't see it in there. It might be able to see a little bit, but it's pushed down into that cavity. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our M4 by 16 millimeter nut for our bottom plate and our bottom plate. Put it in there just like that, because it adds a little surface area so it doesn't pull to the TPU. And we're going to start it in there nice and slowly. So the best way to do it is to get your driver or your hex driver, or your driver like this or whatever, electric driver, and just put this horizontal so the nut's flat. Use gravity to your advantage, and just get in there. Start going nice and slow until you feel it catch. And that one caught, as you can see. The screw went all the way through the nut on there. We're going to do nice and slow, and you're going to do it pretty tight, not too tight, because you don't want to go through. Just do it little by little. You want to have about 2 to 3 millimeters showing from the bottom of the canopy to the bottom of the screw. See, that's probably not enough. That's about 5 millimeters. That's standard, actually. It comes with 5 millimeters, but we want to squish it down because we want it to be nice and strong in there. So we want to squish it down about 2 millimeters. And it's not really the best way. Maybe you guys, someone finds a better way to let me know, but just kind of go little by little, and essentially kind of go until it gets really, you can start to feel it get really hard. We're pulling really hard, then you know it's probably squished enough in there. And let's pull it out and check it. Just keep going back and forth checking it. And there's an easy way to, yeah, it's about 2 millimeters. I don't know if you guys can see that. So that's exactly what we want to do. But there's an easy way to check, is what I was saying, is when you go to put your canopy on the frame here, you got your M4 nuts, go up through the bottom piece, through the plate, through the aero blocker here, and up into the canopy. It will catch on there. If it's not far enough, it will not catch. So you know you're far enough when it starts to catch on there. Drive it in there. Again, not too hard. Get it nice and snug. Maybe just do about a quarter turn, kind of like you're putting an oil filter on. Just a quarter turn after snug, and you should be good to go. You do not have to wrench these. You do not have to be super tight. Just in there nice and snug, and then you have your battery strap to hold the rest on there. So that's it. Once you get in there nice and smooth, essentially I'll send these with the nuts in them. If it's not far enough, just do what I told you. Keep pulling it down little by little, and you'll be good to go. Alright, next thing here, the battery strap. So this is pretty simple, especially simple if you have a smaller battery strap, 16 millimeter or 20 millimeter battery strap. But if you have the 25, it's gonna be a little more difficult. But essentially what you do is just take, remember, put the logo down, because you want to be able to wrap it around and Velcro onto itself. But put it in there just like that. And it might not slide easy the first time. This one I've done already, so it's probably going to be a little bit easier. But essentially, if it's hard, you know, you can take it, start jamming it, use your fingernail, whatever you need, or take a pair of needle nose pliers or some sutures. Again, sutures are really good for stuff like this. Start pushing on the folds, and still it starts to come through. It should come through the other side. If it doesn't, you can actually reach in there with needle nose pliers or the sutures, and you can grab it, and then you can just pull it just like that. So it's going to start pulling through there. If it keeps getting caught, you can actually put the sutures in, or maybe needle nose pliers, put them in between the TPU and the battery strap, and it's going to pull it through just like that. It's going to the TPU is what it gets caught on, so it's going to pull it through, and then once you get enough, pull this back out, pull your battery strap right through. It might not be as easy as I'm showing you here. You might have to finesse it a little bit, but it'll get through eventually. And this battery strap should not break. It's very difficult to break these, should not come out very easily, and you should be good to go just like that. So again, if you guys have any questions on how to do this, any issues with these nuts going in here or whatnot, let me know. Reach out and we'll get you settled. We'll help you out. Alright, so now that we got the main, kind of the base build of the frame out of the way, let me show you this a little bit. I'll show you how to build the frame. So take this mid plate off. There, so we're just going to leave it just like that. I put 2 screws in, well, 1 screw on each arm, so 2 screws at each end. And what I like to do is keep it nice, and I kind of try and keep it to where you're going to be flying it, just so you can, or where it's going to be after it's fully assembled, so you can get a feel for it, or how much room you have in between here. And we're going to go ahead and take these M4 nuts and just throw these down on here, just like this. So again, this is upside down right now. The frame's going to be upside down. So put these on, and then tighten it down nice and hand tight, nice and snug. Just like that, so you can see it's going to wiggle a little bit, but it's not going to move too much. You're going to be able to see right where how much room you have for the stack, components, weight, whatever you want to put inside here. We got it. So what I do next is I like to put my stack screws in there. Probably M3 by 18 millimeters. Probably the best screw you're going to have for this. Let me see if I can have any, if I have any lying around here. We got some M4 by F3 by 18 millimeter screws. If you need screws, monsterbolts.com, not any affiliation, but I use them a lot because they get some good quality screws at good prices. Along with, if you need aluminum screws, Fastener Express, but for anything steel, Monster Bolts is really the way to go. So what you do is you need an M3 by 18 millimeter counter. So I could probably pick up a few more of these so I can start throwing them into boxes with the frame here, so you have them. I do not have enough. This is all I have right now, so I'll get some more of these. But essentially, if you want to do it from this side like I do, just pop them in from the back side just like that. This side is not tapped, of course, it's carbon fiber, but I haven't actually tried tapping carbon fiber. Not sure if that's a thing or not, but could be. Put that in there. And you can see I didn't tighten this down enough, so I'm going to tighten it down. Or if you need to, just put another screw up in there. They're probably up in the middle because that will help lock them together. And actually, let's just do that. Let's put this screw up right up in the middle. There, oh my gosh, that's so nice. Locks them right together, just like that. But then all your bottom screws fall out, just like that. So put these back in here, and I'm doing this a little fast. I would do this a little bit better once I was actually building my own drill in here, but we're going to put that right there. We'll just leave these like that for now. But essentially, you take this, get your ESC. I highly recommend the Hobbywing 60 amp stack. That's then the way to go in these. That's what I ran at the Colorado race here last weekend. Picked up the win. Actually, I had to switch out the ESC because my other old ESC, the SkyStars, burned up. Put this bad boy in here, and it performed flawlessly. So with this, there's not really enough room for the capacitor. Maybe once. Maybe if I do move this back, I'll be able to put the capacitor so it just sits right through this hole. But for right now, you do have to take the capacitor off. Very easy. What I do is actually just snip it, and then you can solder right to the leftover piece on there. And I probably just put it like over here in this area. You can actually string it across, put it over here like I do. And then on my last build, I'll show you guys. But put that in there. You take these, and then you run it up through here. You kind of get your length. I like to run it so the XT60 stops about right here. I'll show you that again in a second. Cut it right there, and then you can wire it on. But you can pull this off. The XT60 will fit through here, so once you get your XT60 wire on, you can pull this on and off nice and easily. Just go right through there. So that's super cool. Put that on there, put your stack in there, put some weight. This room is kind of reserved for weight. Put all your weight up in here. You should have enough room to put all your weight in here, especially if you're using tungsten and not have to worry about it. So you build that. I solder everything up. flip it over, put the plate on, you know, put everything on there, weigh it, and then whatever weight you need to put on there, you just throw it right in there. I like to put tape over it so it holds it down in there nice and easily. So on that note, let's take a look. This is the finished build. This is actually the exact build that won Colorado Street League here this past weekend, and essentially this one has 2 steel plates on, so a little different, but you know, this has the thinner arms, and I have 0 weight added on here, so it's right at weight, about 1,284 grams, and you know, that's just cutting it a little too close. So obviously it's going to add a little bit more weight putting these arms on here, these thick arms, and then but you have plenty of room now because switching this back to a carbon top plate. One thing I want to let you guys know, just some build tips I'll show you. So we're kind of done with the build here, but I'm going to show you how I do this. So first things first, when you put the battery in here, slide that battery right in nice and easily. Make sure you tuck the balance lead right up inside here, so you can lift it up a little bit. There's a little area inside here. You can see right here, a little area. Put the balance lead up in there, suck it right down on there. You're good to go. Nice and tight. Don't worry about balance leads getting cut. Your battery should not fall out. Very difficult for the battery to fall out if you tighten that down nice and hard on there. And then you know, see my XC66 out right here. Plug it right in. It's good to go. I'm not going to plug it in because the LED will blind you guys. But right there, so you have the old school bottom plate on here. Just still have the countersunk screws. Let me go ahead and take that off. I'll show you guys what I got going on in here. Alright, so as you can see here, got an HD0 VTX. I actually put a little, this got cut up a little bit right here when the plate sits on there. So I put some double-sided tape on there, put it on there, keeps it nice and separated. You don't have to worry about shorting or anything, and you're good to go just like that. So this is what I was talking about. You got the camera wire going through here, coming up into here. So that's why I was saying you probably want to put this on after you get the top canopy of your camera on in there. What I do is I just leave this one out tight. I don't put a zip tie over or anything for the side of the cable here. You just pop it right off, and then you loosen this up. You can pull it off. You can see HD0 fits nice and well in there, nice and still. I got plenty of protection. This is actually 8 millimeters thickness rather on the 10 millimeters. The 8 millimeters just adds a little bit more room, and you have more options for some of the other VTXs that you can fit in there. I think the Walksnail VTX should fit in there. I don't know about the Viston one now, but you can surely put those inside here. And if you want to, we can obviously extend this, add a little bit more room in between here to add more options, or you can go back and put the standoffs on there. We have some standoff options too, the old school option. So add a ton of room to put whatever you want on here. So we go ahead and take this off and I'll show you the rest. Pull these screws out. And again, you want to be careful. You kind of don't want to let this just fall out. Your canopy, you got the battery in there, probably a bad idea. Make sure you take the battery out first, because it's got that MIFI cable on there. And we don't want to yank on that. We don't want to rip it off or anything. So pull these off just like that. And what happens, this kind of goes, I put the antenna wire, you can put the antenna wire under this if you want to put it over it, it hangs just like that, it stays on there, nice and easy to work on, and then take this off. So what I would do, putting it back together, is I'd put this on, I'd put the canopy on, put the MIPI cable on here, flip this back over, and then I would tighten the canopy down. The canopy obviously wouldn't be all the way on yet, but I'd hold it in there, and then put everything together. So just like that, and it is good to go. Alright, so you guys see here, I got a little bit of a mess going on. I kind of took everything apart. I want you to be able to see the inside of this and how everything goes together. So first thing I want you to notice, you can see I got the nuts on here. These hold the arms together, especially got the motors on there, so it'll start to try and sink in there and kind of pull the screws out. But put these on there, and holds it together. It's easy to work on. It's probably easier. It might be easier to do it the other way. Have the stack on this side facing up, but this is how I've been doing it, and it's been working out really well for me. Leaves a lot of room to put everything in there and get everything situated. So on top of that, these are some prototype arms. You can see it's a little bit different. It has a little nylon piece in there, kind of hammered in there. It holds it nice and tight, but I think the screw is going to work out a lot better. It's obviously going to be a lot easier to put together that way. So went with the screw instead of the nylon piece in there. And then on top of that, let's take this tape, take it off, and then I'll show you how it looks in here. So this one's going to be a little different. I didn't need any weight on there. So I just put there's a little LED in there, light up the inside of this. There's a cap on there. You see, just ran it under the FC, top of the ESC there, and no issues. Works really well. And you can see this side. So I actually have my little RX in here. Do have Ghost, or not Ghost. Usually run Ghost. Run Tracer on this one. Fits in there really nice. And I just put the motor wires like this, put them over there, and then I tape it down. Same thing on this side. You can see I have some LEDs attached to the ESC here. But essentially, this is a fantastic stack. Remember, if you're going with a Hobbywing stack, use code DABITS, DA_bits, BITS. You'll get 20% off that stack. This is a 60 amp stack, works perfect for this, and it's really easy to install. So obviously 1-to-1 connector going from ESC to FC, but the best part is, especially for an HD0, has a little 10-volt out right here. You can actually, it works for digital like DJI. I believe it works for Walks. I don't know as much about that one yet, but puts that on there. So I just take this. You can see right here, I just wire up everything I need. I'm actually running a ground to the stainless steel plate. Not sure if that's helping or not, but running a ground to the stainless steel plate right here. And then you literally just take this, when you flip it over, you plug it in right there. I'm not going to show you, it's kind of tangled up right now, but you plug that in right there. And then when you need to change HD0 VTXs, you need to take this off. Really easy. Just pop that in and out. Last thing I want to show you guys, this is a full analog build, and with the size of the analog VTXs, you can fit something small like a Pro 32 Nano. Put that thing right in here. You can't even see it, it's so small. Like I said, because I have so much tape over it and it's so small, but mostly the tape. Put that on here. You don't even need to run anything on the bottom. I actually have, I have some wires going to the camera in here, so I cut off a piece of a propeller and taped that in here for protection. Literally, first pack I ran on this, someone's propeller went through here, cut the camera wires just like that. Don't know how I happened, but cut that. So I put a propeller on here, keeps it nice and protected. No more worrying about the camera wires getting cut. Found still some grass or something in there, but anyways, you can make that even lower profile. You don't have to run the bottom with analog. You can fit everything in here. Even with the stainless steel plate, this still has a bunch of weight in there. But well, you can't put a bunch of weight in there. You don't need as much with two stainless steel plates, but probably not going to be able to make weight, unfortunately, with the thicker arms and the stainless steel plates. But again, you only need about 50-60 grams, so you can run this, put these in here, and be good to go. So that's all I got for today for you guys. Hopefully you guys like the Super 70. Let me know any feedback, good or bad. Let's get out there and let's fly. Talk to you guys later.